there's a specific kind of pain that doesn't have a name yet. It's not grief exactly. It's not anger exactly. It lives somewhere in between, in the space where a family used to be. And it starts usually not with a dramatic falling out. It starts quietly, with a comment at a holiday dinner, with a voicemail that wasn't returned, with the slow creeping realization that somehow, without any trial, without any evidence, you became the problem. Every family conflict, every disappointment, everything that ever went wrong, somehow it traced back to you. And the strangest part, you still can't fully explain how it happened. Maybe you've spent years trying to figure out what you did wrong, replaying conversations, editing your words before you say them, apologizing for things you're not even sure happened, walking into family gatherings with this quiet dread, like you're always one sentence away from being the villain again. Part of you still can't believe how different it is now from how it used to be. Or maybe, if you're honest, you're starting to wonder if it was ever really what you thought it was. You keep asking yourself, why me? Why is it always me? What we're going to talk about today isn't comfortable, but it might be the first time someone has put words to something you've been carrying alone for a very long time. Because what's happening to you isn't random. It isn't your fault, and it has a name. Every family has a story it tells about itself. Maybe it's we're close-knit. Maybe it's we always show up for each other. Maybe it's just the unspoken belief that the people in this family are, fundamentally, good. That story is fragile, because real families have real dysfunction, addiction, affairs, emotional cruelty, favoritism, years of buried resentment. And if the family ever truly examined those things, the story would fall apart. So instead, the pain gets redirected. It gets assigned. One person, usually the most honest, the most sensitive, or the one least willing to pretend, gets handed a role they never auditioned for. The scapegoat. Not because they're the most troubled, often because they're the least willing to play along. The scapegoat isn't chosen because they're the problem. They're chosen because they're the solution to everyone else's need to avoid looking at themselves. Here's the part nobody talks about. The person who gets blamed is often the person who saw things clearly, the one who named what was happening when no one else would, the one who said that's not okay when the rest of the family had learned to look the other way. In a healthy family, that person is valued. In a dysfunctional one, they're a threat. Because when you see clearly, you make other people uncomfortable. Your clarity becomes a mirror, and some people, especially people who have built their identity around not looking at their own behavior, will destroy the mirror before they'll look into it. And so the story gets flipped. The person asking hard questions becomes the difficult one. The person refusing to pretend becomes the dramatic one. The person who said this isn't right becomes the one who tore the family apart. You didn't tear anything apart. You just stopped covering up the cracks. But that's only part of the story. Blame in a dysfunctional family is a survival tool, not for you, for them. When everything can be traced back to one person, no one else has to look at their role. The parent who played favorites doesn't have to examine that. The sibling who always took more than they gave doesn't have to sit with that. The family that stayed silent while someone was treated poorly doesn't have to account for that. As long as you are the problem, the system holds. Think about what happens when you try to step out of that role, when you stop apologizing, when you finally say, I'm not taking responsibility for something I didn't do. Suddenly, the attacks get louder. The accusations get bigger. Because you refusing the role doesn't just affect you, it threatens the entire structure everyone else is standing on. They're not fighting you, they're fighting to keep the story intact. And here's what makes it so quietly devastating. The longer you stay in the role, the more evidence they collect. Every reaction to being treated unfairly becomes proof that you're unstable. Every boundary you set becomes proof that you're selfish. Every moment you push back becomes the thing they remember, while the 1,000 moments that pushed you to that point simply disappear from the family's memory. Was any of it real? You start to wonder. The answer is yes and no. The love might have been real. The dynamic was also real. Both things can be true. What doesn't get talked about enough is the specific way this kind of pain follows you. It doesn't just hurt in the moment. It rewires something. When the people who were supposed to love you unconditionally, who were supposed to be the safest people in your world, turned out to be the ones assigning you blame, it doesn't stay in that family. It travels with you. It shows up in how you explain yourself, how quickly you apologize, how long you spend after a conversation wondering if you said something wrong. That relentless inner voice asking, maybe I was the problem, maybe they were right. That voice isn't yours. It was handed to you slowly, over years of being told, directly or indirectly, that your perception couldn't be trusted. The real damage of being the family scapegoat isn't the family conflict. It's the relationship you develop with yourself, the way you become your own harshest critic, the way you wait for other people, bosses, partners, friends, to eventually figure out what your family seemed to know all along. Except they never do, because the thing your family knew wasn't true. The moment things begin to shift isn't when your family changes. Most of them won't. The moment things shift is when you stop waiting for them to. There is something quietly profound about the day you decide that your family's version of you is not the final word on who you are. It's not a dramatic announcement. It doesn't come with applause. It usually happens alone, in a quiet moment, when you finally get tired enough of carrying something that was never yours to carry. Healing from this specific kind of pain requires something counterintuitive. It requires grieving not just the family you lost, but the family you never quite had. That's a harder grief. You're mourning something that felt real, even while part of you knew it wasn't quite right. You're mourning the mother who never quite saw you, the siblings who chose their comfort over your dignity, the family dinners where everyone was present but no one was really there. That grief is legitimate. It deserves to be felt fully, not rushed through. What most people don't realize is stepping out of the scapegoat role is not abandonment. It is not cruelty. It is the first act of genuine self-respect in a relationship that punished you for having any. Here's what actually happened, in the clearest terms I can offer you. You were placed into a role by people who needed one. You were targeted not because of your failures, but because of your honesty, your sensitivity, or your refusal to keep silent. You held up a mirror and got punished for what it showed. And you spent years, maybe decades, trying to earn your way out of a verdict that was never based on evidence. You are not the difficult one. You are not the dramatic one. You are not the reason the family fell apart. You are the person who refused at some level to pretend, and in a family built on pretending that made you dangerous. Stop apologizing for seeing clearly. The people who treated you this way may never admit what they did. They may never have the capacity to. That's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their limits. Your job now is not to fix the family. Your job is to build a life large enough that the story they told about you eventually becomes the least interesting thing about you. And you can do that, not because healing is easy, but because you've already survived the hardest part, being alone in a room full of people who were supposed to be yours. Families are supposed to be the first place you learn that you are loved without condition. For some of us, they were the first place we learned the opposite. That is not a small thing to carry, but it is also not the end of the story. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your experience in the comments. And if these conversations help you make sense of your own story, consider subscribing. Some people spend a lifetime waiting for a family that will finally see them. The bravest thing you can do is become someone who finally sees themselves.